So here's a question that I get asked a lot. How do I position myself as an expert without feeling like a self promoter? My answer always throws people off a little bit. You don't. You don't position yourself. You capture what you already know and put it where more people can find it. Your content isn't supposed to be about you talking about how great you are. It's about you talking about the work, the client you helped, the problem you solved differently than anyone else would, the thing that you believe about your industry that makes your colleagues squirm a little, that you think more people should know. That's not self promotion. That's sharing what you know. And there's a world of difference between those two things. All you really need to make content that positions you as an expert is one story, one idea, one insight, one success story, one opinion that goes against the grain. That's your raw material. Then you let a system that takes care of the labor intensive part, the distribution, the repurposing, getting it out in front of the people who need to hear it. You don't have to become an influencer. You just have to be willing to answer a few questions and share what you already know. Let me reframe this for you a little bit, because this is the part where I think a lot of people get wrong. You don't have an expertise problem, you have a visibility problem. In other words, you're not bad at content, you're bad at marketing. People who are less talented than you and not as smart as you are getting seen because they show up. That's the game. Think about what happens when someone looks you up online. What do they find? They might find a website, maybe a LinkedIn profile with your job title, and not a lot else. That's what happens in 80% of the cases. Meanwhile, the loud influencer person who's maybe half as good as you posts every day, has a podcast, shows up in local business groups. People assume that guy is the expert because they see him show up anywhere. Because they're not going to know. How are they going to know? You don't need to build a personal brand from scratch. What you need to do is externalize what's already there. The brand is you, your expertise, your stories, the way you see a problem differently than anyone else in your field. It's already built. You just haven't put it anywhere where people can find it. So here's what it takes: one conversation, a few questions, 30 minutes over coffee. That's all it takes to start turning what's inside your head into content that sounds like you and reaches the people who need to hear it. You can show up without becoming someone you're not. You don't have to be on camera. You don't need a podcast. You don't have to write anything about yourself if you don't want to. You just need someone to ask the right questions and a system that puts the answers where your customers are looking. You don't have to love talking about yourself. You just have to be willing to talk about your work. I'm Travis. Thanks for watching.